Welcome back to Cincinnati.
Thank you.
What made this job attractive to you the second time around?
Well, a lot of good parts there to coach up and be around. I love what Zach had to say in my meeting. And then from personal family, we really enjoyed our time there. Loved the building, loved ownership. I loved the community we were in, the schools that my kids were in. So that was all really great. So we're excited to be back.
What's your initial assessment of the Bengals offensive line and also their run game?
Well, we got to get better in both those areas. You know, this is kind of the time of the year where everyone's doing those self-assessments, and I haven't had a good chance to dig and drill down too much in that regards, but definitely need to get better and improve in some areas. We got a lot of good parts there to work with, and I'm excited about moving forward with those guys.
Coach, Joe Mixon spoke very highly of you, as did Trey Hopkins. And, as you move on and guys remember you in that way, how does it make you feel about what they think of you?
Well, it makes you feel good. Those guys had some success when I was out there last time, and, I enjoyed coaching those guys. They're a lot of fun to be around. And that's always nice to know that you had some positive impacts with some guys in the past, and hopefully we have a bigger impact moving forward.
Frank, were you involved in the early process of evaluating Jonah Williams? I know obviously the draft came after you left, but were you involved in some of the early process of evaluating him?
Yeah, I mean, I was out here for that draft, and definitely was a guy that we all evaluated. Absolutely.
So, Coach, you've coached some of these guys. You've coached up. You know what they're like. You know their personalities. That part of it, you're ahead of the game on. What about the other guys that you don't really have that kind of information on? It's just you're just diving into film study now, and then you're going to try to in these COVID times might be harder than normal to establish those kind of relationships, I guess.
I guess the good news, I have a year experience working in those times, so to try to navigate that. But yeah, I mean, that's just part of the deal. I'll put calls out to all the guys and talk to them on the phone and start getting to know each one a little bit more personally. And hopefully we'll get back some sort of a semblance of normal and meet with guys more in person, but definitely spending time with them on the phone and these types of environments.
During your career, you've worked with some pretty influential offensive line coaches, guys like Bill Callahan, Alex Gibbs, some of their disciples. How did working with people like that influence the way you scheme an offense?
Oh, it's huge impact. I mean, I think that's the same for every coach, how you've been influenced with who you've worked with. Even Bob McKittrick, who I played for years ago with the 49ers, and like you've already mentioned, Bill Callahan, but worked with a lot of great guys, learned a ton from them, and just try to take a little bit from those guys and kind of mold it and take it and make it your own. And so it's a huge impact. Absolutely. And I still refer to those guys today. And I've been very fortunate having the mentors that I have had in this business.
Hey, Frank, Ben Baby here with ESPN. Have you had a chance? I know it's so early in the job, but have you had a chance to look at the tackles on the line? And if so, what have been your impressions of Jonah and Bobby after what they did last season?
Yeah, it's early. I haven't really drilled down into that much nitty gritty and detail, if you will. I mean, obviously I coached Bobby my first time out there, so I know him well in that regards, at least 2 years ago. And just referencing Jonah from the draft, another talented guy coming out of Alabama, and excited to work with those guys.
One thing that's kind of been consistent everywhere you've been is you seem to have been able to produce a pretty efficient quality run game. What is the key, do you think, to creating and finding a good run game in the NFL today?
Well, what guys always hear me harp on is, one, it's the ultimate team game. You need all 11 guys to buy in. It's not just the line, it's not just the running back. It's everyone involved, the receivers, the quarterback. The tight ends are kind of unique. They're part of the line and the receiving corps. So it's everyone involved. It's the ultimate team game. You need to have all 11 pieces clicking to have any success in the run game. That's line one. Really, that's in the entire facet of offense, passing game or run game. But and two, the way I teach and my philosophy is really, you've got to, I have a phrase about, I call it mastering the mundane. You've got to find a few things and master them, own those, understand the adjustments off of those, and not really be a jack of all trades. There are plenty of schemes out there, plenty of ways to skin a cat, but you can't do them all. What fits your players the best? What do you believe in? And then where does that mirror up? And you're going to hang your hat on that, and you got to drill and grind the shit out of it. And you got to have guys that can have the mental toughness to handle the monotony of going out day in and day out and owning it, and not getting distracted with the new shiny thing that's over there. That might be great for those guys over there, but it's not for us. And you got to understand that. And those are teams that have success in the league. I'm no exception.
One of the constants with those effective rushing offenses has been the wide zone scheme. Why has that been something that's worked so well for you throughout your career?
My personal opinion, the wide zone scheme allows you to maximize running lanes. It's a stretch run. It allows you to take advantage of the defense and makes them wrong. They can never be right if you're doing it the correct way. And it's something that really allows you to have more margin for error, whether the back can make the line or a lineman correct or vice versa. I think it adds a little more flexibility in that regards. And I think it promotes a unit to play better. When I say unit, offense, running back, everyone included. And if you've got talent, it just makes it that much more better and efficient. So it's a forgiving scheme, for lack of a better term. And it's allows you to come off the ball and strike people. You know, it's a physical run game. It's my approach with it. It's definitely not what some people might consider passive or lateral run game. It's on a downhill angle, and we're getting after people, and that's all I'll be coaching it.
Coach, how would you say? How you doing, Coach? How would you say? How would you say it has evolved? The wide zone has evolved. I mean, you began. You kind of got in on it. I guess the kind of probably about 12. Probably about a dozen years ago. How has it evolved down through the years, do you think, and with the coaches that you've run up against? How has it changed, and what is it now compared to maybe what it might have been, in the Kubiak era?
Right. Well, teams have gotten a lot more creative with personnel groupings and different little spins and nuances to attack what defenses do. I mean, defense adjusts, and now the offense got to adjust, and then the defense adjusts to your adjustment, and it's like an ongoing circle. It's I kind of one of the little phrases I have in my room, or let the coaches play chess. On Mondays and Tuesday nights, I want you players playing checkers. You know what I mean? That makes sense to you. So it's a constant evolving deal where defenses are adjusting, and you need to do the same schematically and what you're trying to do and attack the defense and vice versa. But I think that's the biggest change from over the years. But one thing that's consistent is, in my opinion, are the run fits. Some teams do it a little bit differently, teach things a little bit differently, but it's got to be tied in with your back's track. And like I said, there's even more one way to skin a cat in the wide zone system as well. But it's flexible. It presents a multitude of looks to the defense, but the offense at the end of the day is really running the same thing over and over and over. So it's kind of grown in that regard as far as personnel groupings and what you can put on it from a window dressing standpoint. I mean, the jet sweep actions off of it has opened up a whole nother avenue to take it and grow with it and add complements. It's really runs off of runs or plays off of plays, whether it's complementing the passing game from a play action standpoint and whatnot. So,
Frank, when in your meeting with Zach, how much was being able to protect Joe Burrow and improve in that regard in 21? How much did that come up during y'all's meeting?
I mean, that's line one in every O-line room on all 32 teams. You got to protect your quarterback. That's what everyone's trying to always constantly get better at and strive. And our meeting was no different than that. I mean, we got a good young quarterback. We got to do everything we can to protect him. That's line one.
Hey, Coach, Gary Miller from Local 12.
Hold on one second. Can you tilt your iPad up a little bit so that you can see your face? There you go. That's good. Thank you. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, that's what I was going to start with, Coach, because
All right.
These are great answers, but sometimes we're just getting your mouth. So, welcome back.
Thank you.
What in that conversation you had with Zach, you said that the things that he said really stood out with you about coming back here. What in particular made the biggest impression on you?
Well, he's got flexibility. He's open-minded on what we need to do schematically, and it's not just wide zone or some other areas that might complement our personnel better that we need to spend more time emphasizing on and majoring in, and then just how I fit in that big picture and how I can be part of the solution going forward. And I like hearing what he had to say about all those.
Is this the first time you've? Go ahead, Dan.
Thanks, Jay. Billy Price is excited to have you back. Are you excited to work with him again? And do you think that there's something there that for whatever reason just have not been able to get out of him so far in his NFL career?
Yeah, I'm excited to work with Billy and I'm excited to work with all the guys. I mean, that's my job, is to wring every ounce of talent and ability out of all those guys. And Billy's no exception to that. I'm excited to work with him and the rest of the group.
Is this the first time you've had the official title of run game coordinator? And if so, how important is that to you?
Yeah, I mean, it is the first time I've had that title. I think most O-line coaches kind of really play that role across the league. It is what it is. It's just a title. It's, nothing's really going to change in my view. What I do, what I've been doing everywhere I've been for the most part, that always has some little nuances with every staff and how that rolls out throughout the week. But it was nice that that's something that the added. The
current run game, coach, how much overhaul does there have to be with what you'd like to see done? I mean, is it pretty close from a philosophical standpoint, or is it North and South Pole, or where are you with what you see and what you'd like it to be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still digging into what they've currently are doing with the detail, but we're close. I mean, it's just based on our conversations. There's a lot there to keep and build on and continue. And as I get into understanding a little bit more detail what they've been doing and understanding verbiage and concepts and what they're doing, what can I do to help continue to promote it and build on it, or modify on areas that I feel that maybe need to be modified. But we're close for sure.
2 more minutes.
Coach, when you look at the running back coach position that's vacant, did you have any conversations with Zach maybe about some guys he might want to take a look at?
There's guys in the league that I've worked with. I'd rather not expand on that. That's up to the head coach. But we did discuss possible names that he might want to visit with and whatnot. And if it comes to a point where he would like my input further, I'd be more than happy to give it to him. But he's more than capable of making those decisions.
Thank you.
Coach, you were here in 2018, and then obviously the Bengals made a change. You go to New York, and then there's a change at head coach 2 years later. They've won six games over the past 2 seasons. Was that a concern at all when you took this job?
No, not really. I mean, and like I mentioned before, I'm real excited to be back and with the Brown family. They treated me so well, and then loved hearing what Zach said, how I can fit in to be part of the solution moving forward. And at the end of the day, there's only 32 of these jobs, so I mean, not every team's at the top, and this is a very cyclical profession. It is what it is, so I'm looking forward to be able to have a positive impact and building on that win side column.
Frank, obviously y'all have the number 5 pick in the upcoming draft. There's a lot of speculation that y'all could be in the market for an offensive lineman. Have you got a chance to look at what this year's crop looks like, and how exciting is that to potentially, have the opportunity to take a lineman with the 5th pick?
Yeah, I've not even begun that process yet. I'm sure I will be real soon, but no, I have not had a chance to look in that this year's draft class.
The AFC North, coach, is a very physical division, no doubt about it. I mean, Cleveland really, they beat Pittsburgh up. Offensive and defensive lines beat them up. Pittsburgh has beaten other people up. Baltimore beats people up. Are you excited about competing in that type of division?
Heck yeah. I mean, that's football through and through. That's old school football. That's nothing more that I love. I mean, if it's Football's not for everybody, and it's a physical, violent game, and you either love it or you don't. And it's line one when you're evaluating offensive lineman. If you don't love it, then maybe you might need to find something else to do. That's the requirement for the job. So you got to have a smile on your face when you start thinking about that part of the game. It's something you either innate in you that you love or you don't. And this is definitely a old school division I'm happy to be a part of. It's going to be fun competing in it again.
Coach, when you evaluate the prospects coming up, I know you haven't yet, and evaluate this offensive line, is that the first thing you look for is physicality, or what do you look for?
Yeah, no, well, line one, they got to love football, love football. And that part of that is the physicality of it. They got to be smart and tough and not so much physically tough, but mentally tough. It's a grind to really do this thing the right way. And you got to love the grind. I mean, you got to love everything about football. And that's getting up early and working your butt off all day, especially to be offensive lineman. If your mindset is to not to be the hardest worker on the team, then this is not going to be the group or the team for you. That's what we're looking for. Guys who love ball and love all of it, not just the peripheral shiny stuff that comes with it. That's all great, but none of that means nothing. So you got to love all that other stuff. And definitely line one, when you're talking to guys and doing your background checks, is they got to love it and love all of it.
Coach, did you find it all during talking to Zach that there was, some crossover between your backgrounds, some of the systems you've been in? There seems to be a little bit of crossover, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, West Coast system, I mean, that word gets thrown around so much now, it's kind of silly to even mention it. But I mean, his time out in LA, and I know his father-in-law I worked for in Houston. He was the OC when I was there when I first got in the league as an assistant line coach. So there's some of that crossover. I mean, so there's some familiar terminology if that's what you're getting at, Hops. But there's some things that they've improved on and made their own as well that they'll be new for me to learn. But as far as like formations and terminology and some of the run and protection concepts are familiar with me in that regards.